I just got an interesting point brought up by one of my friends at dinner the other night. It's about the golden years of a musician. Now, personally, in my opinion, the golden years of a musician or band will always be regarded as the best, the most memorable, or their best known material. It might not always be when they first start out, but within those first few years or the first few albums. Personally, I don't think there's very many people that are going to say, oh, that artist's 2008 output is so much better than their 1988 output. And you're really not going to find that very much. I mean, there might be a few people out there who may say that, but I really don't know anyone with that kind of logic. Let's just say, for example, that Coldplay, someone says about Coldplay that A Sky Full of Stars is more memorable than Yellow or The Scientist or Clocks or any of the earlier materials. I really don't see someone saying that so much. Or to say for Motley Crue, I know I just went from Coldplay to Motley Crue, but to say Motley Crue's Saints of Los Angeles is better than Shot at the Devil is like, in the music world, that's like sacrilege. You don't say that. It's like you'd be out of your damn mind to say Saints of Los Angeles was better. I mean, the point I'm trying to make on this one is I had a coworker that I used to work with at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, or actually I still work with her, and she is a writer, and her favorite band is Coldplay. It's just funny that I happened to mention Coldplay earlier, and she wrote an article listing her favorite Coldplay albums from first to worst. And when I read the article, I was reading it with a different point of view than her point of view. She was writing it as a fan of the band. I was reading it and judging it as a music historian, or thinking of the course of musicians' careers. So we're looking at it in through two different lenses. So when I read the article, I definitely didn't agree with it. I love the way she wrote it, but I didn't agree with it. Very, very little I found agreeable, in my opinion. And when I read it, my first reaction, she put what was the album? Parachutes, which was their debut effort, under the worst. And the first thing that goes in my head, whoa. You're saying that of all Coldplay's albums, Parachutes was the worst? I guess it's possible that she thought it. I mean, and she was writing it that way, saying how, oh, it had some memorable moments, which pretty much every album has its memorable moments, or it's hit or miss, or it's an underrated record, some may say, of any record. I'm not necessarily talking about Parachutes. But she said that even though people are going to remember certain songs from the album, and of course the big hit, I just didn't find it all that interesting. And when you ask me, not necessarily being a fan of Coldplay, I'm not the biggest fan of their music. I respect them as musicians, but I don't necessarily like their music. I mean, Chris Martin, he's definitely someone to be respected, and he's not an asshole or something that makes me, oh, he's an idiot on the stage and off the stage. No, he's neither of those things. So that's a very respectable quality. But if you ask me, you can't argue the fact that, that was their first album, their very first effort, and no one had heard of them before that. They were only popular in the UK, their home country, in 1998, 1999. So now they're having all of a sudden instant success here in the US with the ever popular song Yellow, and that's got to be my favorite Coldplay song. It was pretty much it was only their that second single that they released. Let me see the two. Yeah, second single that they released. And personally, there was not a song in that album or after that I liked more. Because it was just like, that's true alternative. That's true Coldplay. And the issue I have with that logic is that, you know, when the group is first starting out, their creative output is so massive and out there that it's regarded so highly and great critical acclaim, you know, as they move along in their career. When it comes to like their fourth or fifth album, then they start dropping off the chain a little bit because people say the record companies make them too polished and too clean or too radio friendly. I mean, you can't find a song more radio friendly than Viva La Vida or Paradise or something like that. That is just like, you know, this is not Coldplay. I look at it and I was like, this is not Coldplay. The real Coldplay was the Yellow and the Scientist and Clocks and the Fix You, the early stuff that really regarded them as full frontal musicians. It's what established them. They wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those few songs or few albums. Sure, there are albums by other artists that are more critically acclaimed or even sometimes better selling than previous efforts, but the critical acclaim off a very first solid, strong, tight record is the one that's going to last most often. I mean, and when it doesn't always have to be the first record. It can be the second or third or fourth even. When an artist comes from underground years to transitioning to mainstream years and major label and that kind of stuff, and away from the indie. But I didn't necessarily agree with her opinion. I respect her opinion. That's for damn certain. And well, I just like the way she wrote the article. She wrote it very beautifully, so I admire that, definitely. But the only thing I can see, let's say for later albums, let's just say by Coldplay, the only real positive thing I can say about their later albums was they're a group of creative musicians that are looking to expand their sound and reach a wider audience. That's what I can say. Because there are certain songs that come from any band that when you like the band and then this song comes out and you're just like, what the fuck is this? It's just, this is not the band that I knew. It's just, where the fuck are they coming with all this, you know, medieval and baroque kind of stuff? Like, how did it come to play? It was like when Eddie Trunk said he was very mesmerized when Van Halen released 1984 and Jump was the lead single with the keyboards. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, what the fuck is that? He would go. It's like he's waiting, he's hearing the synth and he's like, I'm waiting for like a guitar solo to just blow this all away, but no, the it keeps going. He says it's very happy, very bubbly. So that's my opinion on the matter, that the golden years of any artist is always going to be regarded as their best. Not always when they start out, but within those first few years or those first few albums, is my point. You don't have to agree with it, but that is my point. Any band you want to mention, let me know. Put it in the comments section, and I'd love to hear from you. Have a good night, everybody.